7 things you missed in the story of Cain and Abel. Number 1, the mysterious reason Cain and Abel are making an offering to God. It doesn't really seem like God ever told them to make an offering, nor do we see any instructions for an offering. The trick is you have to look outside of the Bible for this answer, as it comes from studying the ancient culture. Many ancient religions offered food to their gods as a way to share a meal with them. You might actually be familiar with this idea and you just don't realize it. Maybe you've poured a drink on a grave of a loved one before, or set their favorite bottle of bourbon or whiskey on their grave to remember them, sort of like sharing a drink with them after they've already gone on to the next life. Well, what Cain and Abel did here was likely a similar practice, an attempt to share a meal with God, an attempt to connect. Remember, his parents actually lived in Eden with God, where they may have eaten meals together. So this could be very similar to putting that bottle of bourbon on someone's grave who's already died. Number 2, what's wrong with Cain's offering? This is sort of a trick question. When Abel offered a sheep to God, God was pleased. If you buy that offerings were an attempt to have a meal with God, then Abel was cooking a dish using the best ingredients available. Cain brought fruit from the ground. One theory comes from studying the original language, and it suggests that maybe Cain didn't put a lot of thought into this offering. Maybe he just grabbed whatever was on the ground, whatever fruit or whatever he could find. I don't know about you, but I don't really want berries and produce that have been on the ground. Honestly, the story's kind of vague, so we don't really know what was wrong with Cain's offering, but we just know that God liked what Abel did better. Viewing offerings as a meal with God, though, might help explain things. I mean, if you were cooking a meal for God, would you cook the best dish you knew how to make? Or would you heat up some frozen nuggets and soggy leftover French fries? It makes a little more sense in that context. Number 3, Cain might not have actually done anything wrong to this point. He maybe just could have done better. It's hard to tell if God's actually mad here. He just didn't show Cain's offering favor. And there's a difference between doing something wrong and maybe God's just indifferent towards his offering. So it's really kind of unknown if an actual sin had taken place here, or maybe God was just indifferent towards this offering. Number 4, there might actually be someone else in this story, someone hidden, a demon. Yes, there's actually a possible Satan-type figure in this story that's invisible without some cultural context. Cain became jealous when God showed favor to Abel's offering. There's a hidden clue in what God says to Cain. Why are you angry? Sin is crouching at the door. Get ready to unlock the part of the story that you've never seen before. John Walton and Craig Keener's study Bible on the cultural background of the Bible notes that in this part of the world, there was a Mesopotamian demon who was known to crouch at doorways. That was a story that was going around at the time. This demon was waiting there in the doorway, waiting to pounce at people who came through. Well, with this information, then it's quite possible that when God says sin is crouching at the door, it's quite possible that it's a reference to a spiritual being like Satan who is in this story tempting Cain. And Cain lost the battle in his mind against this demon, killing his brother Abel. Number 5, this story is a retelling of another Bible story. I don't know if I have to tell you what it is, maybe you already can guess, but it contains all of the ingredients of the Eden story, where Adam and Eve took the forbidden fruit from the tree of knowledge. Now, just because it's a retelling of the story doesn't mean it didn't happen. The author might just be trying to link it with word pictures to get you to view this story like the Eden story, as it's the same thing people are experiencing. They're reliving the Eden conundrum over and over again. Cain and Abel relived their own version of the Eden story. So let's compare. Both stories start out with innocent humans connecting with God in an intimate way. Both stories involve a supernatural enemy, potentially, who tempts the humans into doing something destructive. Both stories contain forbidden knowledge. In the Eden story, it was fruit from the tree of knowledge that was forbidden. Here, it's a different kind. Humans didn't have knowledge of murder. They didn't know what that was like until Cain took Abel's life, kind of like Eve took the fruit and experienced it for himself. Number 6, both stories involve exile. God banished Cain into the wilderness in this story, much like how Adam and Eve were banished from the Garden of Eden after they took fruit from the tree of knowledge. All of those core ingredients are there in both stories. Number 7, there's a clue here that there might possibly have been humans outside of Eden. Yes, there's a hint here that there were possibly other humans living in the world around Eden, although we don't know for sure. Traditionally, it's taught that Adam, Eve, Cain, and Abel were the only people on the earth at the time. Take a look at Genesis 4:14. Cain feared revenge. He was afraid someone would kill him for what he had done. When Cain was banished, here's the clue. He said to God, "Whoever finds me will kill me." If there's no other humans around, who is Cain afraid of? His parents? I don't know. There's a hint there that there were possibly other people around. And a few verses later, he has a wife. Where'd she come from? All very interesting, but we don't know for sure. So if you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments which of these surprised you the most, and subscribe to our channel because we plan to make more interesting videos about cool stuff we dig up in the Bible that we didn't know was there. So we'll see you next time.